Hi, welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 260. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and this episode and every episode show notes will be over there. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea where I sell my handspun yarns, and we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. If you haven't come over and joined us, please do. We currently are hosting the Selfish Craft Along, which I guess doesn't sound 100% lovely, but basically, excuse me, we have spent the last few months knitting and crafting for the holidays and for others, and so I always make January a time to craft for yourself. So you can knit, spin, crochet, weave, sew, whatever you do. It is a craft along welcoming all crafts, and that will be open January 1st through January 31st. Basically just craft something for yourself during the month. It can be a work in progress as long as it's less than 50% done, and I will hand out some prizes at the end of the month. So hi, how are you? I hope you are doing well. It is Monday, January 6th, and we are returning to real life after the holidays and end of year activities. The situation in the US is slightly dismal given what has gone on in the last few hours in the international community, but I shall endeavor to knit on through all crises. So I won't get too political about that, but hi, welcome. I hope that you are having a good week wherever you are. This is my first full week back at work. The holidays were a little light and a little strange, but so I worked quite a bit today. And I'm taking a break to podcast, and I have a few more things to do before the end of the day. So let's get right into it. I guess I should say I usually also do a weather update. It is kind of average for Kansas City. It's about 41 degrees today, so it's chilly but not freezing, and it's supposed to stay there most of the week. So I am wearing my night out cardigan, which I showed you before it was blocked last week. I steamed that beautiful lace open. Let's see if I can show you just a little bit of it. Maybe that will help just a little bit. Yeah, you can see that. And it is a great fit, and I am enjoying wearing it, and it is merino cashmere silk and keeping me toasty warm today. I also have a toasty beverage, and for once I am drinking hot chocolate in my Hershey's mug. Although I guess I shouldn't advertise that too much because it is Nestle's hot chocolate, but we won't quibble. Hot chocolate in my mug from Hershey, Pennsylvania. And that is good, and a little sugar for sort of kind of a pick-me-up end of the afternoon. It's about 4 o'clock. I wanted to record before the light was completely gone. So let's talk about what I've been crafting this week. By far, the bulk of my attention has been on a sample knit that I am knitting. I am using a Zen Yarn Garden Luxe Gradient Yarn Cake for that. This is the tag. It is Zen Yarn Garden, and these are their Luxe Cakes. It's 150 grams, 750 yards of a 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% silk, and my colorway is called Razzle Dazzle, and I am turning it into a dotted rays shawl by Stephen West. It's a pattern available on Ravelry. I knit it before in my handspun. But there is something that says to me that maybe Mr. West would enjoy a shawl knit up in a colorway called Razzle Dazzle. So this is the remainder of my cake. It's probably about half, although I haven't weighed it. As you can see, I have it's a dark pink and kind of a dark pinky blacky colorway going into some, or pinky purple colorway going into some orange. And I would say that's less than half the ball, and it'll be a little hard to show you because it is kind of bunched up on the needles as shawls are, but this is what I have knit so far. And these gradient cakes are absolutely stunning. Dotted Rays is a short row shaped shawl. It ends up roughly, technically it's a little bit oddly shaped, but it ends up roughly a crescent shape, kind of half circle. It's a little bit off from that, and technically one end is a little bit more square than the other, but this is the progression of colors. As you can see, I think that light, very light orange bit was kind of the center, although I actually still have gotten quite a bit of orange after that, so maybe it wasn't quite the center. But that is what it started as, and I expect it will basically go back out in a similar manner. I believe I only have 1 or 2 more repeats to do to finish the shawl, and it looks kind of small, but A, it is garter stitch, so it will block out much bigger, and B, those rows and short rows, those sections get really long at the end. So I believe I have about a repeat and a half to finish, and then the whole thing ends up finished off with an I-cord bind off, which matches kind of the edges of the shawl. This is just luscious to work with, and as you can see, I have been spending most of my time working on that. But that is what is going on over here. So I will endeavor to finish up what's left of this cake. I am knitting the small size, which calls, I believe, for 720 yards because my cake is 750 yards. If I really think I have enough, I will do an extra pattern repeat. I think for the most part, I think that would probably be foolhardy. So I will probably stick with the shawl as written unless something crazy untoward happens. I'll probably begin weighing my ball now and figure out, you know, what I'm using per repeat. But the repeats just get longer and longer and longer. I am already up to about 350, no, I'm about up to 315 stitches, and I'll get up to over 370. So those rows are pretty long when I'm doing the full rows. I cannot recommend the pattern enough. It is well written. It is clear. Somehow when I knit it for myself, I got off on counting. I think I tried not to follow the pattern and just was like, I know what I'm doing, and I got off. But this time I am pleased to report that I am exactly on, and everything is working out perfectly with stitch counts. So that's kind of fun, and hopefully I will finish that this week. That's the plan. My wrists are a little bit sore because I've been doing a lot of crafting, so that may slow me down a little bit, but that is what's going on there. Also on the knitting needles are 2 other projects. The first I showed you, they are my Christmas Eve cast-on socks, and these have seen a little bit of work this week, but not as much as I would like. I am just starting to work on the heel flap here. This is the Coffee Talk pattern by Tracy Millars. She is one half of the Grocery Girls, and I am knitting I'm knitting her pattern mostly as written. I adapted the stitch count slightly for my feet because I have small feet, but with the way the pattern was working up, I wanted kind of an in-between sizes. The sizes are 56 and 64, so I did a 60 stitch, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of a fun, kind of a broken rib pattern, sort of, and also kind of a, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like little squares and rectangles. You can probably see there. So I am using Stranded Dye Works BFL nylon sock. And I believe I have the tag here. Yes, I do. This is 80/20 Superwash BFL and nylon in the colorway Gingerbread House. It is her Christmas color for this year. This is the tag. I'm hoping you can see that because it's blowing out on the screen. And this is the yarn itself. It is beautiful. And the sock had been knit up in a speckled with a semi-solid contrasting color for the cuffs and heels and toes. And so I am doing that myself. I am just beginning to work on the heel flap. Hopefully I will finish that up this evening. And I hope to finish these fairly soon. They are not quite at the top of the list because of the next project. So the next project is actually another pair of socks, and this pair of socks is for Roxy. And I always knit the kids' Valentine's Day socks. So their socks are taking precedent, but I am getting pretty close to finishing the first sock for Roxy. I am about here. I need to measure because I am pretty sure it's almost time to start decreasing for the toe. I am doing a 52 stitch sock for her on US size zeros. The yarn is Knitterly Things Vesper, and I am hoping, I do not know the actual colorway. I cannot find the tag, and I bought it a while ago, so I don't really remember. If anyone knows, you're welcome to tell me. And I am just about to finish her sock. I still have quite a bit left in the ball, and I'm hoping that I have enough to not only knit her the accompanying sock, but also knit Miles a pair. His should go quite a bit faster, but I do need to have these done towards the beginning of February, so I thought I would work on these before I work on my own. So I am working on those, and I was working on these during a conference call today and got fairly far. At 52 stitches, they knit up really, really fast. So that is the third work in progress that I am working on. I have not decided what will come next after I finish the Stephen West shawl. I would like to cast on something for the Selfish Craft Along. I don't anticipate finishing it, but I would like to cast something on. I may pull my boxy out of hibernation and work on that. I have a few more samples coming in, but they have not gotten here yet. And depending on how quick I am with that West Knit shawl, I may be able to work in a few more things for myself, which would be lovely. The one thing that I am working on for myself that is not knitting but crochet is, I showed you last week, I am working on the Woodland Blanket. It was a crochet along, so it's called the Woodland Blanket Cow, but it is not a crochet along anymore. That was back in 2018. Let me take a quick sip of drink, because I feel my throat is dry and I feel like I'm gonna need it. I have been working on this. This is a pattern by Lucy of Attic 24, and she put together the kits for the crochet along, and I cannot remember the name of the outfit where you can buy the kits, but they are put together in packs, and there are links to them both from her blog and also from the project page, and this is as far as I have gotten. I am trying to crochet at least one stripe a day, and I was foiled this weekend by the fact that I did not, I kept thinking, oh yes, I should put a stitch marker on the front so that I know that it's the front, so I always start on the correct side, and then I was like, that's silly, I'll know, because the front and the back do look subtly different. The big thing is that in the one of the rows, you only crochet through the front loop, so you get this characteristic kind of line here of stitches. And, but wouldn't you know it, I tucked in all the ends from the first portion, and then I went ahead with the next several rows, and of course I started on the wrong side and ended up having to pull out 4 rows, well, technically 8 rows, 4 colors of crochet, and I was really upset about that. And so now I've added my handy dandy stitch marker so I know which side is the front, and so now I am back to work and enjoying that. I really love the way the colors are coming together, and I still don't know who this is going to be for, so technically I suppose this isn't a Selfish Craft Along if it's going to be for someone else, but it feels like a Selfish Craft Along because I am getting immense joy out of it, out of watching the rows stack up. Crochet is coming more and more naturally to me, although I suspect some of my wrist soreness is that I have been knitting and crocheting a ton in the past couple weeks. My plan is to try and do 1 color a day, which says to me I should have this done in about 3 months, and we'll see. It's still fairly exciting because I'm still introducing new colors and then going back and grabbing a few of the old colors and whatnot. I still have maybe 3 or 4 more colors that need to be introduced. Well, it's 15, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 in here, so I have 6 more to come in at various points in the blanket, which is exciting. So I will just keep showing you my progress. So, and that is, it's about my wingspan. It's supposed to be about, well, it's not quite my wingspan. It's supposed to be about 4 feet by, well, it is close. It's supposed to be about 4 feet by 6 feet. I guess my gauge may be a little off. We'll see how that works. It is supposed to cover a twin size bed. Excuse me. Is supposed to cover a twin size bed, which should be perfect for any of the people that I want to craft it for. It will either be a great Afghan for the couch, or it would be great if I give it to the kids because they are in twin size beds. So that's crochet. Let's talk about spinning, and then I think I'm done. This week I spun up a beautiful, or the last couple weeks I showed you a beautiful braid that my boss had sent me from a fiber festival, and it was a superwash tarhi by Hummingbird Moon. Excuse me, and it was in the colorway Spellbound. It was white with pops of turquoise and blue and purples, and then little specks of reds and yellows. And overall, what I came out with was something that reminds me quite a bit of beach glass. It's kind of a pale blue with spots of darker blue and teals and greens, and it just reminds me of glass that you find at the beach that has been washed smooth. I have no idea on the yardage. I do know that it is 4.1 ounces, and this one I'm keeping for me because it was a gift from my boss, so I feel like I should use it to make something for myself. Right now it will be pretty stash because I don't have anything in particular in mind for it, but that is the first spin of 2020 completed. For the second spin, I decided to look around at some of my stash and pick up something that I don't pick up too often. Generally, I spin a lot of Hello Yarn because I am in their club and I have been in their club for a long time. And I have some other favorite dyers. I've been in other clubs in the past, so I spin a lot of Southern Cross fiber, etc. But I do have odd bags of fibers that I've purchased here and there, and one that has sat up on my baker's rack for quite a while because I haven't known what I want to do with it, is this Odds and Ends. It's called Itsy Bitsy Fiber. It is a fiber pack from Hedgehog Fibers, and I ordered this quite a few years ago. She still does these packs in her fiber updates, but basically it is bits and bobs of all kinds of fiber. Let me open this so I don't have to. It is all kinds of fiber, and it is little bits and leftovers, and some of them are sparkly, and some of them have alpaca and silk and other things. I'm trying to find a sparkly one, and they are all these different little bits and bobs. And spinning little bits and bobs, this one has some sparkle rubbed off on it, but here's one of the sparkle ones. A lot of fiber dyers started doing bits and bobs. They got really popular several years ago, and it is a great way for them to use odds and ends because when they dye up like monthly fiber colorways in bulk, they have little bits at the ends of certain braids, and so they can just sell them as something else. The big thing that I have never been sure of when I get these is I'm never sure if I want to spin them as little bits unto themselves or if I want to strip them out and spin them all together into a big crazy skein of all different colors. And I think for this one I'm going to do a big crazy skein of all different colors. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up all these little bits of fiber, which are of varying lengths and shades, and I am going to tear them into either 2 or 3, probably 3 strips, and like so. And once I have done that with all of them, I'm going to toss them back in the bag or toss them in the air and mix them up and then randomly grab pieces of fiber out of the bag and spin them. That means that my yarn will have all different colors and all different kinds of fibers in it, and then what I will probably do is 2-ply it to get the maximum yardage. This is a dense little bag here, the way she has wrapped these up. It contains 250 grams of fiber, which is 8 ounces is 226 grams, because 113 grams is 4 ounces. So it is a little bit over 8 ounces. So this should make a great shawl or something else. I'm kind of excited about that. Although now that I'm looking at it, see, this is what gets me. So now that I'm looking at it, I have 3 of the same in here. So I could technically spin all these 3 up and get a mini skein. And then I could, I guess a lot of the others don't have, well, some of them do. I'm trying to see which ones have, yeah, they don't all have, oh, see, this is what I never know. I might actually spin these 3 together because they're all the same, and then of these, because these all have some more rusty colors and they all have a bunch of Angelina in them. I might then spin those together. I don't know. This is exactly the problem I have with these kits when I ordered them, because I don't know what to do with them. So I'm going to put them all back in the bag right now, including the one that jumped way over there. And I will decide what to do with them in the coming week and then go ahead and spin them up. So that should be some fun. And I don't know whether this will be a participant in the selfish craft along because I am very tempted to keep these for myself. The interesting thing is that over time I have amassed a lot of fiber, and I bought a lot of braids and one-offs specifically so that I could spin for the Etsy shop. But as spinning has taken sort of a back seat of late, and I'm finding that I'm not selling as much in my Etsy shop, I'm turning my attention to the braids that I had been sort of, or the fiber that I have been hoarding for myself, the things that I had bought because I really wanted to spin them and make something with them. And so I think this year may end up being the year of the selfish spin, which is the year that I spin more for myself than for the shop. And yeah, I don't know. But that might be one of the things that I do for this year. So, I think that's about it for this week. I did actually order some yarn this week, but it is not here yet. I ordered 2 skeins. One because it was a dyer that I have been dying to try out, and because I sort of mentally keep a list of the dyers that I still really want to try yarn from. And I think I've decided that every so often this year I'm going to try and make a purchase from a new to me fiber and yarn dyer, someone that I've decided that I would like, whose work I would like to support, and who I haven't bought from in the past. So in general, I'm not going to be buying as much this year. I know I say that every year. I will buy in person at festivals, and I do want to buy to support my local yarn store because we have a lovely local yarn store now. After years of we have a variety of yarn stores, but I have never sort of found the yarn store that I really love that's me. And we had one, I should say, but it closed almost 10 years ago. So it's been a while, and now we have a lovely yarn store, and although I absolutely do not need a thing, I would like to make some purchases in there. So this particular purchase was just a fun colorway that I thought I actually might even use for Roxy for some hat and mitts. The other thing I am allowing myself to buy this year is skeins of blue yarn because I'm going to turn them into Hat Not Hate hats. Or hats for Hat Not Hate, which is Lion Brand's anti-bullying campaign. They are hoping to receive 100,000 hats this year. That's a lot of hats. My plan is to try and knit a hat a month this year, at least through September, which is when the submissions are due. And so the other skein that I bought was a skein of a bright blue yarn. I just don't have a ton of blue superwash in the stash. I have a couple skeins of fingering weight, and they're more turquoises, and so I probably will use those throughout the year. But my plan was to kind of start the year off with a bang. I had some credit at Eat Sleep Knit in Atlanta, Georgia, so I went ahead and ordered a skein of blue yarn. I believe I ordered Dream in Color Classy, but I can't remember because I was looking at a whole bunch of different things, and I had a bunch of different things in the cart. So that will come, and hopefully I will turn that into a hat for this month. As far as other plans for the year, personally, I may try to design a few more hats since I will be knitting charity hats this year. So look for those coming out this year because there may be a few more of those. And I think that's it so far about New Year's resolutions. I know I talked a little bit about it on the last podcast. I talked a little bit about it last year. That would be the last podcast of last year, which was on December 30th. I also pulled together a year in review stats on my website. Sum total, I spun about 9.3 pounds, which was great. And when I tallied up all the yarn that I knit this year, I came out to 37,000 some odd yards, which was a total of, I want to say, about 17 miles of yarn, which was a lot of yarn knit. And I used up about 20 more balls than I actually brought in last year, which was wonderful. Some of it was out of deep stash, and so I hope to continue doing that this year. So if you are interested in the data, stats, etc., I posted that on the blog. You can find that right under where the show notes will be for this episode. So I think that's it for today. I will stop talking your ear off, and I will talk to you again next week. Until I see you again, I will say happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.